that's different. But the situation, it was like-minded individuals in the same circumstances. She's just a different player. But you're saying, you all right over there? Okay. So these were similar circumstances before. They were. Yeah, but they're irrelevant to this situation.
Okay, we're going to take a break right now, and we will be right back with more on Sidebar.
This is News Radio 1200 WOAI San Antonio, an iHeart radio station guaranteed human. Now, the latest news, weather, and traffic from the GiveMeTheVin.com Sell Us Your Car studio.
I'm Eric Lycum at News Radio 1200 WOAI. An accidental explosion on the city's northeast side injures 2. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together.
The WOAI Traffic Center.
35 southbound between Topperwine and Thousand Oaks Drive. We have construction that has the roadway down to just one lane. On Loop 1604 eastbound between Lock and Terra Parkway and Vince Jackson, we've got that roadway closed due to construction. I'm Alexis, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
For sunshine at 60 this afternoon, we've got windy and 46 now at the WOAI 24-hour weather center. Our top story. 2 people suffered minor injuries when a northeast side San Antonio family was charging lithium-ion batteries that caught fire that spread to some propane tanks, which exploded and blew out a garage door. San Antonio Fire Department says this is a good lesson to stick to manufacturer-suggested batteries rather than cheaper ones like on Temu, which they say are showing issues nationwide. President Trump has allies on Capitol Hill when it comes to his actions in Venezuela, from striking alleged drug boats to capturing Nicolas Maduro and investing in Venezuelan oil.
That we can make sure that Venezuela is not a hub for America's geopolitical adversaries clearly makes life better for the American people and for the Venezuelan people.
Dallas Republican Brandon Gill. News on demand at WOAI.com. Our next update, top of the hour, breaking information as it happens. I'm Eric Lycum on San Antonio's news, weather, and traffic station News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored by iHeartAdvertising.com.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next 2 combined. Learn how podcasting can help your business at iHeartAdvertising.com.
1200 WOAI. Lots of conversation, lots of lively conversation that I want and wish you could both repeat. So, George, you were talking about resistance.
I'll just keep it simple and we'll stop because we got to get to other topics. At some point, there is such a thing as reckless disregard for the consequences of one's actions under the law. And so you're picking apart this motive thing. There is no evidence that she was trying to kill the officer. No. But at some point, doing these kinds of things, which have happened in multiple cities over and over and over and over again over the last year, at some point, you have to ask yourself, how could you possibly conceive that you could do this? Again, using a weapon, which Nico has said in his words, are kind of a weapon. Not kind of, they are a weapon in certain circumstances. How can you conceive that doing this in the middle of ICE trying to enforce an operation, a law enforcement operation, how can you conceive by putting your car in the middle of the road, impeding their progress, boxing them in? How is it that the officer can't conceive that this could be the beginning of an ambush? Because it's happened over and over and over again under very, very similar circumstances. We just have different names and different players. And so I'm just wondering how she could say, yeah, I wasn't trying to hurt him or kill him, but how could you conceive
You jumped it. I mean, you said an ambush. You said impeding progress
I said
again.
the beginnings of an ambush.
Yeah, but then that's...
Because it's happened.
I mean, how many... we'll talk about it in the after show. I got a lot to say
Okay,
about
just
that.
one more question. This
topics.
is from JM. And by the way, we lost our online stream for a second. It's being reloaded. Stick with us. Otherwise, of course, you can listen on WOAI. Does the fact that the driver reversed and then turned the vehicle that moved, from middle to the far right, fender of the right center of the car, as he was being shouted out by the partner or whatever, does that make any difference in the charges or the situation to say it was intentional that the vehicle was moved to make the ICE officer right in the middle of the front of that car.
Yeah, it could be, sure. I mean, if someone's instructing someone to shoot, I mean, under the law of parties, shoot that guy, we got to go. Well, that's under the law of parties. If the officer perceived the instruction as an offense, as an assault, move the car to get away or move the car to hit. I mean, all that, it will be placed into the totality of the circumstances. It's what did the officer perceive under a reasonable person standard in his shoes of whether he was
that's really good. And she didn't say shoot. I think she said drive. Yeah. Right? She said she should drive, baby, drive. So yeah, lots to pick apart here. But all right.
And nobody heard because we lost the stream. It seems like. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All that wasted stream analysis. We'll do it again after, I guess.
Two things. Alamo Talk is here, but I can't find his comment because it all reset. But he said something about the officer was holding his gun in one hand, and it wasn't his body cam. It was him.
The camera?
Video
body camera?
tape. Yeah, it wasn't the body camera. It was him with a phone in one hand, the gun in the other. I haven't heard that.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but it's still.
And then somebody else said, okay, ask Nico, has he seen the video that has been released that the officer who did the shooting, there are so many new sides
that's
of everything.
Did you notice when I said at the beginning, I'm leaning towards this is a justifiable shoot, but I'm still going to keep an open mind and wait for all the evidence to come in. But all I can do, since it's such a hot topic, is analyze evidence as it comes in. But I'm going to do it objectively. I mean, I have zero.
Yeah, Ken says she's looking straight at him when she hits the gas, and it shows that in the video.
Okay, well, then we'll look at that. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a factor, sure, based off what the officer was perceiving at the time, right?
Yeah. What happened to Venezuela?
A long time ago. I mean,
1 week ago.
Under Bautista or under Fidel Castro? Right. I mean, Cuba with their influence on it.
I know.
We went from Maduro to Minnesota.
Yeah,
right.
That's okay.
That was quick.
That's how the week started. It was all about Maduro.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the question with Venezuela, to me, people keep asking about oil shipments to Cuba. Was Cuba next, and all this other stuff. I mean, so you have to analyze Cuba. But a lot of people, I mean, forget what Cuba was about. I mean, Bautista under Cuba was an ally. And then Fidel Castro, took over, seized American assets, and then, whether you like JFK or not, I mean, the Bay of Pigs was a train wreck. You send in these armed Cuban refugees, but don't give them the air support, and they were massacred. CIA tried to assassinate Castro numerous times. They even allegedly tried to incorporate the mob in that endeavor. Nothing happened, and so Castro ended up outliving 4 presidents in the United States, which has been my criticism, kind of. In the past, that we're not on the same page, and you have these political swings, and we're not consistent. And these dictators, they're going to be there for 20, 30, 40 years. So they're just going to wait out our presidents and our political persuasions at the time and do what they're going to do. So then he ends up croaking Castro, Fidel, then his brother takes over. And it's just, it's a mess. I mean, Cuba's a mess because of the way they're running it. Ideas have consequences. The connection between Cuba and Venezuela is important because allegedly, from the snippet that I read, is like 32 Cuban special forces were killed in Maduro's capture Maduro was even worried about his own people wanting to kill him, so he had to bring in Cuba to get his own Secret Service, quote unquote, and I think 100 total were killed. I mean, look, let me tell you this. Can you acknowledge, regardless of what side you're on, the fighting force that we have in the United States? I mean, 100 people, unfortunately, I still say unfortunately, lost their lives on that side in the capture of Maduro, and not one of our soldiers passed away.
Amazing.
Not one of our assets was lost. One of them was damaged, but not lost. I mean, we have the most elite fighting force in the world, and that's why I'm glad President Trump is building that back up versus this whole, transgender and this and all this other crap in the force. I mean, I'm not for that. We want an elite fighting machine to keep our country safe so we can go back to having these political, lively debates. That's it. That's the role of that. And I don't need a bunch of wusses in the military not be able to stand up to other armies. So just objectively, we have to acknowledge, and God bless our troops, what an amazing operation that was, regardless of whether you agree with it or not.
I just find it stunning that the very people who have an issue with this, who are just decrying what Trump did, of course, all Democrats and a few Republicans, I'm stunned by it because the most vociferous, detailed justification for intervention in Venezuela has come, up until Trump, from Democrats. I'm stunned by that. So it seemed to be a really good idea before, but now because Trump, it isn't a good idea. I actually pulled it down because I wanted to read it myself. I was impressed. The State Department from 2023 under Joe Biden had a really elaborate justification for why Maduro couldn't be stood. I mean, they went on, Nico, it was, they detailed it. Arbitrary killings, forced disappearances, there was torture, inhumane treatment by security forces, arbitrary arrests, there were serious restrictions, of course, on freedom of expression in Venezuela, and then they elaborated on that. They talked about human trafficking under Maduro. That's just in the first paragraph under the State Department. Joe Biden, when he was running against Trump, said that as a failure of the Trump administration, that it was all rhetoric. That Trump, stop talking about it. When are you actually going to do something? And then during the Biden administration, they upped the bounty on Maduro's head from 15 million to almost 30 million.
But see, you got to say that to people that are against this. You weren't vocal when Biden did this. I mean, and again, and the only reason why I bring that up is because I want to test their presuppositions. I want to test the logic behind their claim. And so if you're, again, like with me, with the shooting and the justification of the shooting with Babbitt and this instance, I think I'm trying to be very consistent. And so I want to challenge their consistency. If you think what Trump did was quote unquote wrong or illegal or whatever, then what do you say to the claim that Biden had against, and Biden's State Department had against Maduro, and what they just didn't have the cuyans, as they say, to do anything about it maybe. But they had the same issues with him, or similar issues, or maybe different ones, but in the same arena. So good. I'm glad you have to bring those things out.
And that's just Biden. And I was thinking about Chuck Schumer, or what did Rush Limbaugh used to call him? Stuck huge humor.
I didn't understand that.
But he said, here's Chuck Schumer. He said, this is in 2020. Quote, and the president brags, meaning Trump, about his Venezuela policy. Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began and proceeded to justify doing more against Maduro. So this is wrong to the Democrats simply because it's Trump. And Trump actually did what they claimed they wanted him to do. So I literally 45 seconds ago. And so this is the point. That's the strategy. The strategy is whatever Trump's for, we're against. It doesn't matter that we agreed with him 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's what I can't stand. That's that tribalistic mindset that I keep bringing up. It's like no matter what, that my tribe's always right. And if your tribe and my tribe are arguing the same thing, when I'm arguing it, it's right. When you're arguing it, it's wrong. I can't stand that. That's tribalistic mindset. That's a bias by definition. And I don't work that way. I remember I come from the arena of a blindfold, that there are objective standards, that there's true objective moral good and evil, and things like that. And so I do my best to apply law, facts together objectively based off principles that I believe would bless the vast majority of people, if not every person. And then the chips fall where they fall, regardless of if it offends my side, quote unquote, or not. I'm not worried about my side. I'm worried about the side of truth. And that's where I come from.
I was going to say Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut.
Democrat from Connecticut has been out there saying that that Trump thinks he's above the law, that he steals from taxpayers and thumbs his nose at the law, and now that he's starting an illegal war with Venezuela that Americans didn't ask for. In 2019, Murphy was out there demanding that Trump make a realistic case for intervention in Venezuela because getting rid of Maduro was a good thing. I'm sorry. I'm just curious. What changed?
That's called impeaching your witness. This is critical, George. This is a good deal. If this guy said that on the stand, and you'd come up and you'd impeach him with his position from 2019 and show the hypocrisy.
We don't have time on the show, but I mean, there's just volumes of this stuff. So what happened? I'm just curious. What happened?
Even the people that say they don't want to say anything about Venezuela or any of the other countries that are exploding right now, they'll say that Trump doesn't care about America. He cares about every other country. But what about us? The inflation is still here. The prices are still high. But isn't what he's doing in all of these countries to make America better again?
Well, sure it is. But I mean, then what do you mean the prices are still high? The gas prices? What do you mean the inflation's still high? I mean, what was that under Biden? And again, it's not a whataboutism. It's testing your presupposition. I'm testing their logic. That's what you asked. That's the only reason why I bring it up. I don't say, well, you think, it's like saying, you think I drink a lot. Well, Fulano drinks a lot more than me. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a terrible defense. No. So it's not a whataboutism. It's a what about yourism? What about your thought process? That's why I challenge people whenever I bring up these situations, because hypocrisy, to me, it has no place in a court of law. It shouldn't have a place in a social discourse either. But unfortunately, when you have your tribe you're going to be hypocritical to defend your position. Or your
Okay, we're going to take a break right now, but this is the time. Find a social media platform to get on, because at 10 o'clock we are going to continue the show. SidebarTV.com, that's where to go. We'll be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. And please, if you have not done it before, do it today. SidebarTV.com. That's where you can find social media platforms that we stream the show on. And we want you to do that right now so that you'll be all set starting in February when we go to stream only.
But people ask me this question. I mean, so what does that mean, stream only? Meaning that we're not going to be on the radio anymore.
Correct.
I mean, just
That's it.
define it for people. We're not going to be on the radio at the end of this month. It's going to be only streaming, only on these different platforms, and trying to grow our presence and our footprint that way. And that was a decision I know it wasn't easily. I mean, it was prayerfully made. I mean,
Correct.
you know, it's been wonderful being on the radio. It's just to lay this foundation. But if we look at where things are going in the future and where things are at, I mean, people like Joe Pags, great. I mean, he's got great radio, and Jack Riccardi and all these other people, they have their own. That's wonderful. But for us, we made the decision, financially, resource-wise, because I mean, you know, we're self-funded. It's not like we're getting any sponsors yet. Hopefully, that can change.
Mm-hmm.
So we can change and grow. And so we're just trying to be good stewards with resources, and we're going to go in a different direction. We've loved it. It has served us well, and so we just hope and pray that we give enough time for the people that do listen to us on the radio can go to a streaming platform to give them a heads up, so there's no glitch.
And we hope you come along with us, because we just want this to grow and grow and grow. And we have so much fun with everybody that's on. Well, I usually am on Facebook, but we have other platforms. And so just get on the one that you love the most, and then come along for the ride.
And one of the things I really love about the show is our predictive nature. I think that's a real strong point for the show. If you guys are predictive nature, we tend to predict events. In the sense that we look at history.
You're so right.
Look at history. LaHood is very good. This guy is very good at breaking down the present. I like thinking about the past and history. How did we get here? Nico's very good at breaking down what's going on now. You know, as he says, play it out in the now, and then therefore putting those things together. And I think, you know, therefore, what does this mean for the future? What does it look like? And I think the show is very predictive in that way.
Well, you're the Nostradamus of our group. I'm the present dude, but you're the Nostradamus. You're the one. You're the predictor, not me. I'm just like.
Well, we love history. We think history matters. History is not taught.
That's right.
You're going to hear some ranting about that on the show a lot. But if you can appreciate that, then please consider, you know, joining our mission and supporting our endeavor.
It's funny, and I'm not criticizing anybody that's on the radio now, but you hear a lot of the same information just regurgitated, and there's nothing except, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I do love that you mentioned that, Georgia, because the what could happen and why is this happening is explained right here on this show. And
well, there's a lot of good content out there.
Yes.
I mean, I think there's a lot of good content out there. We're just a bit. We bring our experiences and our analysis and our styles to do it. And I mean, there's a lot out there, and people can consume different information if they want to.
Absolutely.
We're not you know, crapping on anybody else and saying we're the best.
Nope.
We're just we are who we are, and that's it. So hopefully people will. I guess I started this little rant only to make sure people understood, because last week it wasn't clear that we're no longer going to be on the radio.
We're doing the show.
Yeah,
but
the show's not going away.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the thing we're doing on streaming, but yet
We're just not going to be on the radio.
Yeah, no commercials. Maybe we'll have some commercials every once in a while, 15-second versus a minute. for sponsors, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay, so
right,
I already have 2 lined up, but it's all in the beginning talks. New York City's mayor, Mamdani, quietly met with Steven Spielberg in the days after inauguration. And when I read that just today, because I have not kept up with him, and I wonder why is the guy meeting with a gazillionaire liberal? But then you put on top of that what George told us about the tenant director, and that is that private property ownership really a problem for them. So why does the guy need a billionaire, and why is everybody
they're making
talking
a movie
about?
because people fell for this crap, and they're making a movie from this. I'm sure, and who knows? But I mean, this whole thing about this tenant director, what's her name? C. Weaver or whatever her name is.
Yes.
Say or C. Weaver.
Sia Weaver or Sia
she's a
Weaver.
whack job. I mean, look, I'm just going to mention 3 or 4 of her statements in the past, and George probably has all of them. I just have a couple of them. Rent control is a perfect solution for everything. Okay, great. The goal is to impoverish the white middle class. That's the goal. We want to impoverish the white middle class. Okay, that's wonderful. Think if you said that about the brown middle class or the black middle class or what Asian middle class, people would have gone bananas. Home ownership is a racist and failed policy. As you say that to the Mexican Lebanese dude over here and the blacks and everyone else that own property ownership, I guess that's a failed policy.
And the home builder.
It's racist. And the home builder who's Portuguese. Elect more communists. So she's very open about her. She's a commie. I mean, she's a commie, so is Mandami. Private property is a weapon, listen to this, of white supremacy, even if you're not white. So that's the but this is it's irrational. It's cultish. There's no logic here, and that's why they don't want to reason with you. You can't sit down, as Isaiah says, and reason with somebody when you have this type of mindset, because reasoning doesn't work. And so they want to call you a name, they want to label you, and then when you fit that label, they can disregard you because you're irrelevant to them in their mindset, in their worldview. It's a whole worldview, it's a religion, so to speak, and it's a cult, and it's damaging. We have a lot of literal dead bodies under this ideology over the years, so we don't have to wonder where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of history, nothing new under the sun. Yeah. This is just a regurgitation of Marxist principles, Marxist communist principles, which are authoritarian in nature, and take something that is cherished in American law and in American culture, which is private property, and turn it into, quote unquote, a collective good. Look, he's been talking in these terms from the very beginning. And because Americans don't know a damn thing about history, generally speaking, they think this all sounds really neat and new and fresh and warm. And what do you use? The warmth of collectivism. There's nothing warm about it. This is about stealing. It's about theft. When a communist is in power, he spreads power through theft by taking what isn't his or hers. This is old. There's nothing new about it. And I got to give him credit, Nico. He didn't shy away from that. He was open about his mission. He talked about it in these terms. Kudos to her. At least she's out there saying exactly what she thinks. And the problem is that we have no understanding of this as a culture, and it's going to eat us from the inside. This type of mentality isn't just isolated to her. It really is. She's one of many, and it's actually theory that's being taught in the American academic system right now. If you ever have a communist regime in power or a socialist regime in power, I guarantee you they will come after private property. That is a fact. That's a fact. So we can see it in academic institutions. It's more than theory. It's been laid out. There's a roadmap for it, and there's nothing new about it. It's been tried globally, and it's failed every time, and it's left, what do I always say, a trail of broken bodies. Yeah. We need to be careful. This is serious. They're not joking about this.
The reason I brought up Spielberg is because right after Mamdani was elected, they said that all of the donations just went to zero. And in my mind, it seems like all of the people that voted for him were the ones that don't have the money, cannot make it, cannot be homeowners, need help, wanted a free bus pass, whatever. But where's the money going to come from if no one's supporting him with the cash to back it all? Is that why he would talk to somebody like Spielberg who hates Trump?
What's going to do for him? You still need to run an operation.
Right.
It's like you
How
run
is he
your
going to do
business
that,
into the
though?
ground. Look at Cuba and Venezuela. It's all you steal from people. You don't encourage flourishing through ideas and entrepreneurship. and free market capitalism and let the best idea win and let people pull themselves up by the bootstraps, so to speak, and let them work their way and say, like, I have nothing today, but tomorrow you could have something more, and the next day you have a little bit more, and then in 10 years you have a lot, and then you employ people that have little, and you give them the opportunity to build up. That's the American way. And so all these places, they burn the house down. They burn the barn down to themselves. It's self-destructive, but they always leave a little cubby hole for themselves to live in. I mean, look, Karl Marx was his daddy was rich. He was born into money, and he was entitled. I mean, he was an overprivileged sack of it. You understand my point? That's what he was. He was privileged, and then he's pissed off at his daddy because he cut off money from him, right, George? You're the historian in our crew. I mean, and so now it's like this whole movement that has a lot of literal dead bodies behind it is like this whole movement against his dad because he was pissed off that he cut off his money. I mean, so he has misery loves company, so they speak. So they say. So, I mean, look, this is a horrible idea. It's never worked. It's never going to work. And the only reason why it works is because it sounds good, but the con artist sounds good until they drain you of all your money. I mean, it always sounds good. I mean, you know, the person that commits, you know, a crime against a female sounds like a gentleman, sounds polite until he gets to private and alone. I mean, so the fact that it sounds good means nothing to me. Does it do good? Are the ideas good for the collective whole? And they're not.
Marx's writings are really intellectually unimpressive, but he knew how to tap in. We said in here before, we're going to keep beating this drum. He tapped into something called envy. And there's an infinite repository of that in every human being. And so his philosophy, and if you haven't read it, you should read it. 1848, Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels. I mean, he identifies class conflicts as the basic force driving human progress: division, tension, envy, jealousy on steroids, and so he argued that the root of selfishness and jealousy and class struggle and war in human societies could be traced to one thing: private property. So your desire to own that property, exposes you, for the imperialistic, materialistic zealot that you are. And that because you want to own things, inherently you want to do it at the cost of someone else, right? So he sets you up. He sets you up as the exploiter, God forbid. And so on it continues. And the only thing that can stop that is revolution, class struggles. They'll finally cease, they said, when there's nothing else to fight over. That's, of course, foolish. You will always find something to fight over. And so on and on and on.
It's already
goes.
happened. I mean, now they've racialized it. So now there's cultural Marxism.
Exactly.
Right? And so you have cultural Marxism, you have critical race theory. We've talked about that over the years. And that's what they've racialized this thing.
It started off economically.
Racist. Everything's
and then it
racist
went
now.
racial. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly
And that's
right.
division. All this is about division. Taking from someone else. You take away someone's right to be white, maybe. You take someone else's right to be whatever. I mean, it's not that it's a right. It's just the way God designed people. I mean, so it's just, it's to me, it's disgusting. It is evil because it's the opposition and antithesis of good, objective standard of good, which to me it comes from a biblical worldview, and I can debate that with people even. So all that to say is this is unfortunate that it has legs. And it only comes from ignorance, right, Joe? And we don't say that to be mean to people. Ignorant just means not knowing. If I'm ignorant to mechanic work, then I can be taken advantage of somebody who's a mechanic.
We need it as a clarion call for educators to start taking up their mantle and actually educating, teach all of history, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, instead of using your teaching platform as a pulpit to teach American children to hate being American and to hate America. It's despicable.
Nico, we're wrapping it up.
Oh, already? All right. We have 2 more weeks left on the air. On the radio portion of it. Join us on the after show right now. Thank you for joining us this weekend. We enjoyed. Please tell people about us, but tell them to go on to the streaming app platform, and we'll be on for another 20, 30, 40 minutes. Who knows? And thank you for joining us. Have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
The preceding show was paid for by the LaHood Norton Law Group. The views and opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily represent those of WOAI and iHeartMedia.
Okay, here we go. The mics are on.
These people, Karen, just so everybody knows how much of a
Stop it.
Karen is. And she won't even let me go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. I got to take a leak, and this chick says, no, you can't go, so we're going to go live.
We don't want to lose anybody.
In the trash can.
We have tons of people right here. We don't want to lose anybody. Was it pretend or was it real when after the entire Venezuelan event that happened last week, Marco Rubio did some part of the press conference in Spanish, and then he looked at JD Vance and he was like, do you know what I just said? And JD's like, no. And he's like, if you bundle with Geico, you'll get like a discount. And then JD Vance was laughing, and I was like, was that real or not? I hate it that I don't know sometimes if it's AI. Like,
really?
Did he really say that, or
Did he?
Marco Rubio said something in Spanish, during the Venezuelan thing. Yeah,
Is that real?
he goes, if you can bundle and save with
Look,
Geico.
Marco, as stern as he is, and he is.
Funny.
I like, man, I just can't.
They both started
he's
screaming,
as close
laughing.
to a perfect, quote unquote, public servant as you're gonna get.
Love that guy.
If you gave me a choice, even though I have no problem with President Vance,
Yes.
at all. I think I lean towards Rubio.
Well, people say JD Vance first, Rubio afterwards.
I know, but do you think that this country will elect a Republican, even if it's Vance, 2 more times, and then Rubio 2 more times?
Yeah.
I hope.
I don't know.
We'll be on the right track, but that's why my criticisms of Trump in the past and different things and conservatives is so that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
That's how you really in exact change. If we think 4 years is going to do it, and then 4 years of whoever the Dem is, and then maybe 4 years because pain is a good motivator, and we just keep getting a lot of pain, and we're emotional voters, it's never going to end.
Never gonna
We're
end.
not going to. So we need some consistency, and that's why I constructively criticize, because I just want the ideas that I believe that currently the Republican Party espouses will bless the vast majority of our country, not all of them, whether they know it or not.
Well said.
That's it. That's my deal.
Even the Democrats have to look at Rubio and JD Vance and just go, God.
I really love what Rubio's doing. I think he's just doing phenomenal work. Talk about for such a time as this. I mean, this is fantastic. Not only with just all discussions back and forth with what I think is a rogue regime left over in Venezuela, strategically left there for now. But I love that Marco Rubio is having meetings and that he's coordinating those meetings and facilitating those meetings in Spanish.
In Spanish. I know.
So he's able to wade through the bullshit in both languages. But Nico, I saw this week the Babylon Bee put on in the aftermath, by the way, of great additional economic news. They upped we thought the GDP was incredible, but they even upped it even further, 5.4% in the fourth quarter. It's phenomenal. And in the aftermath of the economic news, the Babylon Bee comes out and says, White House announces over 1 million new jobs were created in December, but they were all filled by Marco Rubio.
I love that.
He's
been truly. He's had his hands in everything, and it's been a competent, stable hand.
Let's be strategists here.
Let's
be Republican strategists. Salo, get in here. And so if you're strategizing on who would be the more appealing candidate, they could reach over to those independents that came over for Trump, some of the Democrats that came over for Trump. And Trump was a novelty. He's his own entity. Vance is kind of still, even though he's the new age of maybe the conservative, because, I like that he uses some slang words and he's got a great story and he's
funny also.
He's funny. I like him
relatable.
Very, very much. But from appealability to the majority, I mean, how do you not make the argument that Rubio, first Latino or Hispanic president candidate? I mean, and he's actually done all the jobs. I mean, talk about someone that's running the company that's held every position in the company.
less than a year.
I'm saying that a little facetiously. I mean, look, there's an argument that it should be Rubio. I mean, from a strategic standpoint, Vance deserves it. Vance has earned it. Vance is amazing. I'm just trying to, because then you'll get some of those Mexicanos and Latinos and Hispanics that are like, but what? He's still one of us. I still want to vote for the first Hispanic. I mean, there's just that's just something. I don't know. What do you think, Salmo?
And the thing is, Latinos becoming the majority on their path to being the majority one, and then what Trump is doing with Venezuela. I understand the political stuff that people don't like, but at the same time, there's a lot of Latinos seeing the tears of some.
The Venezuelans are crying.
It doesn't matter who you are. You see that. You see freedom. Have you seen those videos of people
waking their wife up? That one.
Yes.
There's a montage of like 13 of them.
Yeah.
They're just waking their people up. Old ladies that on their deathbed, stuff like that. Anyway, So that, because Latinos are very emotional, very hard.
Yeah.
That thing, Rubio as a presidential candidate, and then being able to speak, I want to say this, proper Spanish.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that can, a lot of politicians do this.
Spanglish.
I'm going con ustedes. They speak like that. Fine, they're trying. But a person that speaks real clean Spanish to other Spanish-speaking people.
I don't know. I'm just being look, and this is not a slight on Vance. I like him. Huh?
You said Mira?
I don't know if come on. I have the card. I have the Hispanic card. I can say it. But that's all. I mean, I don't know how this came up. But you mentioned Rubio because he's a badass. I mean, I just think the world of him.
He is a badass. I think it would be a mistake. I do.
What?
For him to be the presidential candidate.
Okay, fair enough. Why?
I do. And for good reasons. Because I think we need, and it was to your point, we need a continuation of this. I'd like to see a continuation of the Trump doctrine, Vance style, with Rubio as his right-hand man.
Yeah, got it.
And then I think the continuity is essential. And I'm going to part from Salo on the whole Hispanic element. I think that's useful, particularly useful now. But what I love most about Rubio is his accentuation of America actually having this thing called, wait for it, a national language, and it's not Spanish. Yeah, that's right. We need to circle the wagons around English and preserving that as our national
That
language.
I agree with.
Yeah.
So the more Hispanicizing of that, I don't think it's helpful. I think you don't run from it.
Yeah, and let me just say this. I'm just thinking about. I'm just strategizing. This is the brain. We did an open mic brainstorm session.
Next to you, I'm a super fan of Rubio. I used to be a huge critic of Rubio.
So was I.
I mean, I am over the top on this guy. I think he's doing phenomenal work, and he's articulating Trump doctrine well, eloquently. I mean, he's fact-based. He knows history. I mean, he was a senator, for goodness sakes.
You can tell he's not being you're talking. He believes it.
He does.
I mean, he's all in. It comes.
I mean, it's a wellspring.
Yeah.
Because we're experimenting, we're brainstorming, whatever. If you're listening right now, if the elections were going on right now, there was J.D. Vance and Rubio. Could you put it in the comments? Like the presidential election is going on right now. Vote for Rubio or J.D. Vance. If you can put it on.
A lot of people, a lot of people on Facebook are already saying JD and then Rubio.
With VP.
Yeah.
Well, I think what Nico said up front
amazing.
is if we forget everything else, what you said up front is the most important thing. I mean, we it's not that we want. We desperately need
to continue
8 years of Vance and 8 years of Rubio. We desperately need that approach. We need not just the approach, but those sets of convictions and that worldview. We really, really need that for this country. It is the only way we'll turn this bad boy around. I mean, there are views on education, there are views on border, there are views. And look, I think, to give deference to Trump, I don't think that Trump was just necessary. I think he was essential. I think what he has done has saved the country. I truly do. Please stop for a moment.
Add something that for now.
Please consider for a moment where we would be at this moment if you had a Harris-Walz administration. And that's not without even considering the insanity of Tim Walz and what we've learned about the bullshit that he's perpetrated inside Minnesota here for the last several years. And basically really sort of enabling and facilitating the fraud, how it's literally fallen on deaf ears because the USAG, by the way, who has been a hero I've been reading about, I think his name's Joe Johnson in Minnesota, who's really spearheading the only investigative work, and to the degree anybody's been held to justice it's been because of him in terms of the fraud in Minnesota. I mean, he's been saying it's fallen on deaf ears inside the Minnesota governorship. Walz hasn't given a shit. Keith Ellison hasn't given a shit. And so setting all that aside, I mean, can you imagine what a Walz or a Harris-Walz administration would be doing right now on any issue? The border alone, just the border alone.
Brother, what else
is there to talk about?
I said that last week. The border alone, this would be a different country. Completely different country.
Yeah.
I mean, the culture would be different. Everything would be different. This would not be the United States of America, and I would be very fearful that would be that catalyst that takes us over and that's not being hyperbolic.
100%.
Not being
and
hyperbolic.
how integrated those concerns are with what's going on in Venezuela, and I know there's this sort of lot of pushback on foreign interventionism and Trump spending a lot of time on the foreign side, at least on the global side. And I've been part of that criticism, but I have to say, I mean, there's a genius to it because he understands the interrelatedness of all of this. I mean, the national security document that he released in November last month is essential. I think everybody ought to download it and read it. It's 33 pages
Okay, but it's Trump. I mean, it's not written in academic language. It's tangible language, and he's trying to explain how we need to reassert American sovereignty. Well, everything that he does is to prop up American stability. It's to prop up American culture. It's to circle the wagons around American interests. And he has basically gone, and there's nothing new. Here's what's fascinating, Nico. They call it the Monroe Doctrine, which is a take on the Monroe Doctrine, which has been present. The Monroe Doctrine goes back to December 2nd, my mom's birthday, 1823. She was not born in 1823. But December 2nd, 1823, James Monroe, President of the United States, stands before Congress and says, hey, we really need to circle the wagons around the Western Hemisphere, the Americas, Latin America, South America. We need to see that as an extension of our national interests. We cannot allow, at that time, Europeans to continually try to recolonize against Americas. Obviously, we were very concerned about colonization, given where we had just come from. And they were concerned about, England and France and Spain looking for ways to recolonize around the American continent. And he says, we need to be assertive, use every geopolitical tool, every economic tool. And yes, that includes the use of military force. And I love that in 1973, and Al Montauk and I were going back and forth on this, that Congress passed the War Powers Act and that there's an authorized use of military force section in there that says that the American president has, without congressional approval, the ability, as he sees fit, given an existential danger, which then 48 hours after the intervention, he is required to come before Congress and explain.
Right.
But not
So
preemptively.
there's still a check
Yes,
and
but
balance.
not before.
Right.
And so this is all part of this strategy that has really been American precedent. What's different about Trump? Guess what? He's actually enforcing it. China has set up a beachhead of influence in Venezuela. You just mentioned, I love that you did that there's 32 Cuban mercenaries who are on Maduro's security force.
They were killed.
You've got that they were killed. Sure. You've got Iranian influence. You have Russians that were leading their intelligence networks inside Venezuela. And in the extension to Cuba, what's been happening is a subtle, silent quarantining of the United States from without, and you have a gutting of United States culture from within, with Chinese dollars coming into American universities to pitch a Chinese-friendly narrative against America to impressionable students. And Trump has said, enough of this shit, man. So why shouldn't he be lauded for that?
If he's right, we need buy-in from people, or else this is my point. It doesn't matter that he's right. Is he right, and can we consistently keep implementing or fighting this off? Look, China's shitting their pants right now because they're getting their oil from Venezuela.
Truly.
And that cut off. So there's a lot
not
going
an
on.
Understatement.
Seriously, they're shitting their pants, and they should be. And so you have all these very good explanation of what's going on geopolitically, and that Trump gets it. He just gets it.
And then Iran.
And that's why, to the point about Vance and Rubio, again, that combination is a winning combination. I'm just trying to think of when I want to win.
But they're aligned. I guess my point.
They're
totally
and
aligned
they seem
with
to be
this.
friends.
Yes.
It's not like
genuinely
Lyndon B.
respect each
Johnson
other
and
like each other.
JFK.
Oh.
It's not that combination.
Or even Reagan and H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
No love lost there.
Yeah.
And we saw that.
I can't go to the bathroom. Where are you going to go?
Okay, this is totally changing the subject. But no, go ahead, because I was going to change.
No, just you're worrying me because you said you had to go to the bathroom 10 minutes ago.
She don't give a shit.
I'm
people are yelling at me.
Like that officer.
No, people are yelling at me because I didn't let you go to the bathroom.
Thank you, people. I need a lawyer.
No, I was just going to say, before people lose their venom on Trump, I mean, the precedent couldn't be clear with what happened with Noriega in December of '89. I mean, it's almost freakish. I mean,
and the same date.
It's freakish. December of '89. You've got December in 2026. Yes, a narco terrorist. Yes, drug trafficking charges. Okay, the courtroom was different. One was in Miami in '89. Here was New York City. People explain if you can. That's where the indictment has been sitting since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all Trump did was simply exact.
Oh my God, I know. It's
really,
so
and then reinforced under
embarrassing.
Biden. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's so crazy. It really is. People need to understand Trump is simply acting on precedent. He's following American law, and he's working on behalf of American interests. We voted for this. Yeah, we did. And ICE in the streets, We voted for that.
Yeah, but they voted for the idea, not the how.
The real.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
and there's been a disconnect in that.
Yep.
And so, and that's where we talked about the messaging that they could have done better.
I'd like to debate
in the
that with
messaging.
you after you, shall we say, relieve yourself.
We're in the middle of it. I'm not in the middle of relieving myself. I'm not peeing on
thought you
myself.
were.
No.
Patty said, hey, I didn't like Trump at first either. We conservatives have open minds, admit when we're wrong, something Dems don't. I was once a Dem, born and raised. I know how they think. I had my first kid, and wow, I knew the party was no longer the party of mom and dad.
Wow.
Somebody else, I can't go back.
I want to understand. It's a legitimate question. It's not a gotcha question anyway. I want to understand, what does the removal of illegal aliens from the American interior, what does that look like? Please, I'm open-minded. That doesn't involve.
You're using too much logic, George.
No, I'm
using too much logic. People are emotional. They know they want an answer, but they don't understand what it means. So they want the stop of inflow, but they don't realize that the outflow of getting the people that are already in here is going to be destructive. Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
So people were focused on the inflow because they saw it. Because you could see the, oh my gosh, what's going on in the valley. So and they're not thinking of the outflow. The outflow is damaging. So if you have water in your boat and you're just scooping out your boat, you're going to lose your journal. You're going to use your picture when you were a kid. You're going to lose your favorite whatever blanket.
Yes.
You're going to maybe lose your kid. I mean, shit, they may scoop out your kid. I mean, so it just that's the reality. I think that's the practical side of it.
And that's and that's it. I got my answer. But look, I've received lots of calls from individuals who work with me, and who are staunch Trump supporters. And they have been stunned. It's been because this has been a shock and awe.
Stunned about what?
They've been stunned in this shock and awe ICE effort across the country at the disruptive nature. And I asked that same question. I said, look, last time we talked on the other side of the election, they were complaining about the fact that per CBP numbers, Customs and Border Patrol numbers, 14 million people. I'm going to say that again. 14 million people, about a million of them in various stages of criminality, hundreds of thousands with criminal convictions, but 14 million people. And the question becomes, how? It's actual question. I mean, Salo, you're illegal, so no, I'm just kidding. But Salo, seriously, 14 million people in 4 years. That's just in 4 years. So what does an operation look like? Actual question. What does ICE do? What does an enforcement operation look like across the country? Because it's across the country. That doesn't involve disrupting communities. I honestly want to know what that looks like. I'm open-minded. If you can get them out of here, because we do need to get them out of here. If you can get them out of here, how?
The whole Somalian situation in Minnesota and a woman getting shot and killed. What is it about the fraud? Don't these people understand? And why is it okay for all of that to happen, yet they're still fighting with their lives to keep them in America?
I think Nico's right. I think this is an emotional topic, and once you start getting emotional and personalizing like that, and you start, acting from outrage or fear, the brain shuts down, and you forget the logic and the rationale to it. The reality is that American citizens were violated for 4 years. American sovereignty was violated. The American family was violated. That's the reality.
But the person
people came into our home without permission, and the federal government turned against its own people. The federal government committed illegalities, and Nico brought this up a couple of months ago. This is not a point that can be missed in the debate. Is that the federal government facilitated this? The federal government committed illegalities, violated immigration law, and created this and turned inward on its people. That's a big deal.
But isn't it sort of pathetic? The person that's dead is protecting, the person who's dead is driving a minivan with a bunch of bumper stickers on it, is protecting the people that possibly could have been part of the people that stole $1 billion, $9 billion from the American people. It doesn't make sense in my head. Like, what are they protecting? Do they not believe all that money was taken? Do they not understand that those people didn't look super rich to me.
Hate is an interesting emotion. I mean, when you hate somebody so much, you forgive a lot of sins. I mean, and so they say your enemy's enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
And so you got to think of it that way. And so the people are just focused on that because it's illogical. So you have to think about what's causing the person to sideline their logic to accomplish a goal that they think is in their best interest, but it's not. It's completely illogical.
All of Minnesota isn't like this.
I agree.
The power centers are, and they're infused with this. Look, this is less than a mile away from where the George Floyd incident happened,
right?
And where he died, and where the whole thing just blew up in 2020. This is not far away. This is actually an area of Minneapolis that is virtually politically controlled by left-wing activists. I mean, I just went video after video, and you could see just a tree line displays of pro-LGBT and paraphernalia and so forth. And again, this woman came from Kansas. She's not alone. She's depictive of a whole here. She came out of Kansas City, Missouri. She learned of this Ice Watch through the South Side charter school that her 6-year-old son was enrolled in, Nico. That's how she learned about that Ice Watch group. And and if you go to the website of this particular charter school, it's very illuminating. It elevates above all, look up the website, it elevates above all social justice. And it's not bashful about that. It's been in existence since 1972, and it's been a beachhead for that mentality since then. And it argues, it claims that it tries to get kids politically involved ASAP to become political activists in the social justice movement. This is the community, the sub-communities that she was part of. These are the groups that she was part of. And they're all over the country, But in Minnesota, particularly in these power centers, they are very politically influential, totally. And so how did this happen? How is this okay? I mean, it's been happening for years and years and years, and I'm asking a question here. How do we fix that?
Well,
what does the fix look like?
It's schools and it's churches being more involved. You just have to get more involved. The church has got to be bolder.
Outside of the law enforcement operations, that's just
the immediate. That's stopping the water from coming in.
Ideologically,
you're talking about how do you stop this? Because it doesn't matter if law enforcement does what they're supposed to do, because eventually those law enforcement officers are going to be replaced, and those police chiefs are going to be replaced, and those deputy chiefs are going to be replaced, and then you're going to have that same ideology running the police departments. They're going to be turned on us, the citizen. So it doesn't. I mean, so that's only a temporary fix. That's one aspect of it. This is multifaceted to me, but it comes down to the way we think, and because what we think is influenced what we believe.
Yeah.
And so that's it to me. And the churches have to get involved. School has to get involved. We have to go back to the basics. I think there needs to be a study of what made this country what it was, and how we're celebrating 250 years with the same Constitution that no other country can boast about that. And I think it should be humble. I think we should be very, very, very realizing and being very cognizant of that this thing can be lost. 250 doesn't mean 251, and you have to think of it every day. It's the 300 mentality. Is take everything and give nothing, and we keep giving things away. And so to your point about Trump being critical, even if you don't like him, I think he was critical to stop the bleeding. He triaged this country. He did not fix it. Now, some of his policies and his ideas that are not his policies really and ideas, he's just implementing them, will be the fix long term and the sustainability of this country. But he's just Trump 2.0 is a triage to me. That's why I'm so critical.
John says they don't understand it's our tax dollars that were stolen. They think it's the government's money, and that's okay to steal. Do you think that could be really the way some people think?
Yeah, yes, it is, because they don't understand the way the system works. And that goes back to George's point about education. We've got to educate people. And, what do people say, that you're a Democrat or you're a progressive or a leftist until you have kids and get a job? I mean, that's not always the case, but I mean, obviously it changes perspective, because now the money that's being stolen and given to other people is your money. You heard that joke about Reagan when he's talking to that Democrat couple about their daughter about, I wanted to give money to somebody. I'm not going to butcher it. Somebody online will pull it up. It's a little YouTube short. And he just says, why don't you come over? You want to earn money. Why don't you come over and help somebody? Come to my house and and just, cut my grass, and I'll give you money, then you can give it to so-and-so. You can give it to the homeless person. And then he goes, why would I go to your house, cut your grass, and then give it? Why don't you just give it to the homeless person yourself? I don't want to. It was that type of example.
Yes.
He was welcome to the Republican Party or something like that.
I know.
I'm bastardizing the whole
I
thing.
could
but you
never
get
tell that
you
either.
get
Yes.
It's hilarious. And I sent it to myself and I lost it. But it's true. I mean, so it's all about perspective. And so people don't have a perspective, it seems like.
And fair enough. I mean, Trump can't do it by himself. And I mean, this is going to need to continue. He needs lots of support. And the man, I just don't know. I mean, the amount of resistance this guy gets, this didn't happen overnight. These are enclaves, blue cities across the country. You've got Democrat governors that are aligning. This is very, very dangerous what's going on in the country. Truly dangerous. You've got law enforcement officers. I saw something that I thought was unconscionable. But then I'm thinking about what Tim Walz said in the aftermath of the shooting, that he was going to bring in the National Guard. What are you suggesting it? Really? Against rogue agents? What are you saying, Tim? So you're going to be arrested is what's going to happen.
What's going to happen to that guy?
You're going to force Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, and he's going to have to arrest your ass. Are you kidding me? You're going to call in a National Guard to be a force of resistance for Minnesota's against rogue ICE agents? You've got Jacob Fry telling ICE to get the fuck out of Minnesota. Literally, he literally said that.
Yeah.
You think that's a good... Rochelle Bilal, who's the head of the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office, said that ICE is, quote, a fake law enforcement agency, and she threatened to arrest federal agents for carrying out immigration operations, end of quote. This is insane. Please tell me, as you say, play that out. Where does this go?
What's going to happen to Tim Walz?
This is not here, and it's not there. This is the Democrat Party, friends.
Yeah.
Well,
It's utter anarchy.
I think he's setting up his defense.
Well, yeah.
He's setting up his defense if he gets accused of some of these things and gets indicted for some of this stuff.
I mean, he could.
I don't know
There's no way that he didn't know.
Well, there's always a way.
Oh.
So don't say there's no way, because you're reaching a conclusion without evidence. So all I'm saying.
If you're heading the state, I get it.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, it's true.
I love it, man.
I mean, look, we're dealing with that right now. With no way. Why didn't your client act? We're in the middle of that.
I
trial.
understand,
Uvalde
but
trial.
still.
So people make up their minds. So that's all I'm saying is we just let's play it out. Let's give Tim Walz the presumption of innocence, like we all want for everyone else, and then let's just look at the evidence and follow wherever it leads us. And if it leads to a formal charge, then so be it. He has the right to effective assistance of counsel to cross-examine the witnesses against him, a trial of his peers, and due process, which is fundamental fair play, and he deserves it. And I defend his right to get it, as I defend everyone's right to get it.
Yeah.
Karen.
I'm thinking back.
Karen.
Look how I'm not affected. I'm just thinking back to what I've heard a lot of people say, and that's like no one's paid the price yet, because people were so crazed about everything that they had done to
What do
Trump.
they expect when they say
I
that?
get
I mean,
it.
You expected Trump
I
to
don't
come
know.
in in 11 months because he was sworn in
True,
late January.
but will
11
anything
months, Instead
happen?
of getting acclimated that he's going to just bulldoze the whole place down, and burn the barn down and arrest everybody without doing... If all this shit was going on and it was truly this big cabal and swamp that people claim it was, which I'm not saying it's not, by the way. I mean, you think he's going to just jump into the swamp again and say, I know where everything's at these last 4 years? No, he's got to get handled. First of all, he's got to fix things. He's got to stop the water from coming in. He's got to do different things. There's a lot of moving parts here. I'm trying to give him a little bit of grace. But I mean, now after the end of the second year, and again, I don't want people prosecuted just because they're... It seems like some people are saying, I want prosecutions. I don't want prosecutions for the sake of prosecution. That's a dangerous game to play. Trust me, that is. I've seen the justice system politicized, even locally. So fuck that. You don't want that. I want legitimate, objective, blindfolded prosecutions. Blindfolded meaning like Lady Justice wears. Follow
By the law.
You prosecute crimes. You don't prosecute people. We have to go back to that. And that's what we've lost. And if we prosecute people because they prosecute people, then we're never... Then, okay, king of the mountain. Then do it, and then be ready for the retribution later on.
Doug said in the private sector, Tampon Tim would have been thrown in prison.
I guess. I mean, maybe, yeah.
And he may yet be. I don't... Look, it does seem pretty damning. This is fairly well documented. I got the last name wrong. It was Joe Thompson, not Joe Johnson, the U.S. AG for Minnesota. This guy's been very methodical. Very impressive, the amount of work that he's done. I mean, so far, 98 defendants, 85 which are Somali. 64 of the defendants have already been convicted. He's got we're looking across 1,750 subpoenas, 130 search warrants. He's been very methodical, 1,000 witness interviews. He's been at this for years. And he says, finally, the gates are opening. We're actually getting some cooperation, Nico. He's been trying over and over and over again, getting nothing but resistance from Walz's office. So this is rather damning. I mean, we're talking about 14 Medicaid organizations. What haven't they touched? I mean, it's been daycare. It's been autism, supposedly autism treatment facilities and housing specialization services and Feed the Future organizations to the tune of the $9 billion, by the way, number came from him. He's the one that put that out there after his investigative work. It's not some number that somebody pulled out of their ass in the federal government. So this has been going on for a while, and you have a sea of politicians looking the other way. And finally, it's been brought out front and center, and people are outraged about it. I don't think it's going to go away. I think this is going to be front and center as we lead up to the midterms. I think this is a big deal. Most Americans are absolutely outraged about it. Completely outraged about it, and the support is overwhelmingly in favor of the Department of Justice getting to the bottom of this. People don't like to be ripped off at the fundamental level.
Especially when they have 2 and 3 jobs just to make it for the past 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, truly. And then you're hearing billions of dollars, not millions.
Quick thought,
billions.
Karen. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Oh no.
Thoughts on Dan Bongino?
I mean, he couldn't take it.
Couldn't take what?
He couldn't take the truth, I guess, of what he was seeing and the inability to act as quickly as he wanted to. And what's wrong with going back to his podcast and making money?
George?
I don't know how Dan Bongino is going to recover. I mean, I'm looking at from before his FBI stint to now. I don't think he's ever going to be anywhere near as popular as he used to be.
Yep.
I just don't. I thought, I mean, he came in with bravado and conviction. He was clear-eyed about everything. And I understand. You get in and, okay, things weren't exactly as I thought, but have the balls and have some dignity and come out and say, look, I thought it was going to be like this. It's actually like this. Yep. And so, I mean, I don't know, just be candid and say, so I've moderated. And
George and I have not talked about this.
Okay.
And I'm exactly where George is at.
It's like Glenn Beck when Trump was running the first time, and he told everybody on his talk show, do not vote for him. He's horrible. He's this. And I don't think he ever recovered from it either.
But actually, I'm going to take issue with that.
Now that he has met him and talked to him and tried to make amends, but I think it took years.
Far be it from me to contest our in-house media guru, which you are, but Glenn Beck has come out and actually said that he was deeply sorry.
Correct. But I think it took years for people to trust what he had to say.
But he's come back and he's stronger than ever.
I was going to say that.
I think he's doing really bad. I think he's doing much better analysis than he did before. So I don't know, but it took him a while.
But Dan had a different. The bravado is what it is. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Burn the barn down. This is it. And he challenged other people for not having the balls to do what's right under circumstances. They don't do it. I mean, and it's like, I got it, Dan. And he should have said, hey man, this isn't what I thought it was. And before I get further into this fucking shithole, I'm out. I'm either that right away or just get fired because he stood for what you. I mean, that interview with him and Cash was just weird. I don't know.
I didn't see it.
Well, a long time ago about the Epstein file.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you saw that.
I don't know if they did a spoof on SNL.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I wish they would. I mean, it was in a sense it was the way you talk about it.
What is with Cash Patel?
Trust me,
no,
there's nothing to hide.
What the hell was it?
What is with Cash Patel? No, really.
Get a cucumber up his ass.
That guy got a hit in the head. Dan had this weird look on his face. He had no expressions. He's like this. Trust me. Don't you think trust me. It's suicide. Like you had the shocker.
Yeah, that is
suicide.
But,
it was weird.
But it is one thing to be able to say what you want.
Seen a ghost.
That was weird.
I mean, or the devil himself.
It was
weird. He was. I don't know what happened to him. Something happened.
But when you have your own podcast and you can say anything you want, and then you look behind the curtain, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, but then say that or get out, and then look what's going to happen. Maybe I hope I'm wrong. Look, I have nothing against Dan. I'm just agree with George's assessment. I think he's going to say, well, there's some sensitive information that I can't say.
Everybody says
Everybody's
that.
Gonna say so when he wants to cover his ass, he's going to stay top secret, and maybe it's true. Yeah. But he's put himself in that predicament. Is my point. So I don't know. If
Jan
there's hope.
says she
does
read
everyone
or
think about it?
heard that he is having a recurrence of cancer, and that's what he's fighting, not
Well, stress,
what anybody
stress
thinks.
will do that to you. So God.
And then Susan says the plan.
We weren't aware of that. But
Yeah, and then
that's an
Susan
interesting-
says the plan for Bongino was to only be there a year anyway.
Okay. Well, it hasn't been a year yet, but okay.
Yeah, that's out.
Look at Alamo Talk, and then somebody responded.
Oh, what do you say?
Alamo Talks, in the end, Bongino refused to be remembered as a protector of pedophiles. Right?
Oh.
Okay. And then somebody said, you might be right. For once.
Oh shit! See, that's my point.
See, you got some love here, Alamo Talk.
Is the mortar from a lot of people. So Alamo Talk says he refused to be a protector of pedophiles, and somebody who normally disagrees with Alamo Talk said you may be right for once. Well, who knows? I don't know, man. Yeah, but Karen, what else? Let's do a little rapid fire, and then we're out of
Well,
here.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Listen,
Everybody
my
was
kids have
like,
been gone.
I think it was Larry that said for Tim Walz, the statute. What's going to happen to him? The statute of limitations will expire, and he'll live a happy long life with no accountability.
Who?
Tim Walz.
Oh, Tim Walz.
Because it feels like, and then JM says, so where does Tim go? He goes into a pink jumper and a perp walk live on TV.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Look, again, if there's evidence against them, objective evidence, then what I would like to see is a Republican administration prosecute Republicans if they did something wrong, and Democrats prosecute Democrats, and not just Henry Cuellar because someone spoke out against Biden's immigration policy, and that's the claim. I mean, so we got to go back to objectivity in the state.
And there was a time when that wasn't so unprecedented.
You got to be so careful. I'm
so
telling
partisan.
you, the justice system is such a powerful tool. It can be weaponized, but it's still a tool. A hammer is a powerful tool that can be weaponized to do evil. Anything. And there's a lot of tools out there that can be weaponized as you know. So that's all.
One more
Just very
comment
careful.
from Peggy.
Do a
She
lot of
says, in regards to all the illegals, they are destructive to the sense of community. They teach the philosophy of destroy the man, or at least, make it hard to accomplish anything. So even
I'm not
if
for illegal immigration. I mean, no, I wish nobody was. I mean, I wish there's more Democrats that said, look, we're for a more generous immigration policy, but not illegal immigration. Yeah, right? I mean, that's what I would hope that someone would say. I want a generous immigration policy, but not an illegal one. Because you don't run your house that way. I promise you don't.
Yeah.
Anyone that claims that there's for this open border bullshit or this very...
Yes. But it's double jeopardy now. You've got that issue, and then you have a political party that exploits those people. Listen, the Democrat Party does not give two shits about illegal aliens. Okay? They're useful. They're useful to their cause of burning the country down. They don't care. And what you're seeing is now the fomenting of hatred, the stuff we saw in L.A. This isn't new, by the way. This has been going on in the country for a long time. It just occurred to me in April of 1968, after the assassination of Martin Luther King, it was left-wing agitators that fomented the passions. And in the aftermath of his assassination, we had, I think it was 1,200 cities that were on fire. We had massive riots. Time after time after time, where is the right-wingism in all this? Where are the white supremacists doing this? Where? This is consistently left-wing violence, and it's happening now. In September or in 1938, I should say, in Springfield, Illinois, Abraham Lincoln decried what he called the ravages of mob law. Nico, he called it a mobocracy. And he went on to say that these things, or this mobocratic spirit, threatened to sever the attachment of the people to their fellow countrymen and to their nation. And that was then in 1838. And this, we have spots of this violence in American history, and they come from these radical fringe elements. And now we actually have a party. And this is what we're seeing right now. We've never had this before. Because even though it was left-wing in the 1960s, now we actually have a political party that's exploiting it. You've got the Democrat politicians that are in alignment. Jacob Fry got up there and said that he stood with immigrants. He's the mayor of an American city, and he got up there and he says, I stand with immigrants. They're his priority. The American mayor in Minnesota. Wow. You have a party that's aligned themselves with non-Americans against Americans. That's truly unprecedented. This is dangerous. I'm sorry, this has to be routed out using every political tool at our disposal. And I know this gets thrown around a lot. Oh, they're enemies of the state, enemies of the country. I don't like to throw that around. But when the shoe fits, you got to wear it. The Democrat Party, by virtue of their politicians, are becoming clear enemies of America as founded. This is dangerous.
That you see now, you're using your words very specifically because it's true. They're enemies of America as founded. Yeah. They want to. They're trying to create America, a different America.
A different.
So that's critical.
That's exactly right. And how's that? How did we get to be a country where everybody's trying to come in, Nico? Not because we're this other America, but because because we've been America as founded. There's a reason why people are trying to get in here every year, to the tune of 1 million people every year, by the way, legally, and we've got 100 million waiting to get in for a reason. We can't let them all in. So there's a reason for that. Is it a good idea to fundamentally transform the United States of America, Barack Obama? Probably not.
Well, look, I mean, we got to remind people, please continue to spread the word about us doing streaming. And this is going to be our only means moving at February and starting at February. Radio has served us well, but it's time to another season and other opportunities for us, and to steward our resources in a different way, and hopefully continue to grow and bring different things and not have some of these problems that have been prevalent in the studio and the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. So we're just going to try to refine it and do better.
And to please consider supporting the show.
Well, yeah, if you want.
Like you said, we're self-funded.
Well, there'll be opportunities, and we'll talk about that. Will be opportunities, Karen, for businesses to do it. But then, of course, individually, you can as well. We're not going to have paywalls and all that stuff at this point. And I get why other people do it because that's their only stream of. This has been a labor of love for us. Mm-hmm. And it's been labor because we're paying for it, but love because we just believe we want to do our part in trying to help encourage free speech, free thought, shape hearts and minds, and go back to the experiment the way that our founding fathers thought of it was to share ideas, bring them to a public square, debate them, and in the court of public opinion, let the best idea win. And then we believe in the free market. We're open-minded to different ideas, and if I'm wrong, I'm always willing to change. I'm going to follow truth wherever it leads us. I just have I have a worldview that influences what I believe truth is. I have a biblical worldview, which was a worldview that is very cohesive to this experiment, whether people like it or not. We just have to be able to talk about things. That's all. And so that's it. Yes. So thanks, guys, for joining in. Karen, anything else? You're looking at comments.
John Ross says it's his birthday today. He wants somebody to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
John Ross?
Yeah.
How old?
37.
All right.
And Gina says, what's wrong with white people these days in the country? No, I'm talking about the people that seem to be blocking the streets.
Oh, God.
I wonder that myself.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with white people in the sense of their creation because God designed
of course.
Everybody.
Yeah, you can teach anybody to hate themselves long enough. After all, they hate themselves.
Yeah, no kidding. Anything else? You good? All right.
No.
Get out of here.
I just wonder about the weight of a lot of the women that are standing in front of those cars. Why is that? I'm not making fun of it. Like, why are so many overweight?
As in
no,
substance?
I'm not saying, yes, I'm not saying anything bad, but it just seems to be. No, I'm just saying it just seems to be a predominant feature, and it's very odd to me.
I kind of noticed that because when Renee Good's lesbo partner jumped out, she was a person of substance. And so perhaps you're onto something. I don't know.
I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's very odd, especially when two, ICE agents are running with one in the middle, and I'm like, that's the fastest that girl has ever walked.
Look, I don't know.
Karen,
it's still a tragedy.
I'm not saying anything. It's not good or bad. I'm just like,
it's still unfortunate, but yeah, I'm willing. I'm waiting to see all the evidence on that. But like I said, I'm leaning towards that was a good shoot. That's a term of art in our profession, meaning that it's a legal shoot, not good because there's nothing good about it in the sense of, someone lost their life, but it's good meaning legal shoot. It's a good shoot. So
legally defensible.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So far, what I've seen. All right, guys, have a blessed weekend. I'll see you guys next week. Share this with someone you think may benefit from it. Remember, find a streaming platform that you can watch and follow us and share us with, because at the end of January, we are going to be off the radio air and full blown all in on streaming.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, great thing. God bless you guys. Bye bye.